You did say like how long it takes to I guess put the pottery into the furnace and let it harden or spin it and stuff like that. But I could be wrong. But what's the average time it takes for you to finish molding the clay?
To make a single object?
Yeah.
That's a funny question. I get that question a lot. Like, how long does it take to make a mug? Well, it's taken me 17 years to make the mugs that I make, right? So in that way that it's taken a lot of time and effort to figure out how to make an object. So, to simply answer your question, like I can make 10 pictures in a day, or I can make 50 mugs in a day. But in order to have gotten to that point, I've had to work for 15 years to figure out what kind of mugs I want to make, what kind of pictures would I want to make. And I work really fast compared to a lot of people, in that way. If it's not, it's just a different kind of effort,
Yeah. So you said that you live and work in the studio. Can you just talk about the balance between the two?
Yes. Sure. Okay, so the reality was that, I couldn't afford to do both. I couldn't afford to live in the studio, or I couldn't afford to have an apartment and the studio. So I basically lived in the sandblasting room, which was this little itty room. I also learned I don't ever want to live where I work again, because there is no balance. I basically would wake up and realize that there was just the list of things to do was never ending. And so, I sort of, I don't know if you're asking about what my work day is like, or just that idea of living in the studio. The living in the studio was rough because also it wasn't equipped to be a living facility, so there was no shower facilities. There was a bathroom, but there was a hose and a pan that I used to shower in. The reality of that situation is, I was willing to sacrifice in order to make the studio happen, right? I was, and plus I was feeling like I was doing my part for the water conservation in California. So I used basically 2.5 gallons of water every day to shower, and I watered my plants with that. So it was a bit rough. I only just moved out about 3 weeks ago, and the more that I sort of get the studio set up, the less room there is for my stuff in there. It wasn't. I think that it's that funny thing of like I could make it work for a little while. And I feel like that's a lot of what my journey has taught me, like living in Utah. I can live in Utah temporarily, but not forever. So I think I've had a lot of that where I can make something work for a bit. And that thing of like, I really wanted the studio to happen. And so I was willing to sacrifice my apartment, which really just housed my cat anyways. Like I was never there, so I may as well just live in the studio for a while. So the balance was not great because I just worked, I felt like I worked all the time. There was no real sort of leisure time or break time. It was always there was something to do. And I could always see it, so.